Hey guys, I'm John Hoover, and here's what's up with OU football. I have crunched the numbers, and it appears, as of today, Friday, January 9th, that approximately 1 million players have entered the transfer portal. Yeah, and of those, roughly half of them have either decided to leave the University of Oklahoma or they're transferring to OU. Oh, hang on. It appears I'm a little bit high on those numbers. It's not 1 million, but they make it feel like it, don't they? There's so many, and there's so many every day. Listen, the portal has been good and bad for college football. It certainly has empowered the players, I think, and I guess that's what everyone wanted, right? In combination with NIL and now revenue sharing and from all the schools, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's all at once. But I guess on the whole, count me in the group that says the portal in general has been bad for college football. And here's why. Just because it's either been so unregulated or just so poorly regulated. Anyway, you guys didn't come here to listen to me rant about the portal, did you? So let's get into what's going on at OU. First up, Jim Nagy and his personnel department. Those dudes are having a January, aren't they? They are killing it. They're crushing it in the portal. They have addressed immediate needs, immediate positions, right? They brought in guys who were starters at those positions at their previous schools, and a lot of those guys are from Power 5 programs. Okay, so it's been good. It's been really good for Oklahoma. The NCAA, they try to continue to figure out what's good and what's right and what's appropriate and what works. And so to do that, what do? They simply change the rules every year of the transfer portal. So this year, there's officially one transfer portal. And we're right in the middle of it, January 2nd to January 16th. So basically, 2 weeks, right in the middle of the college football playoff. Smart, huh? Sorry, there I go again. What this means for OU, what this means for Oklahoma football is that since the playoff loss to Alabama, the Sooners have basically, for lack of a better word, offloaded about 25, 26 guys who were on the roster for the spring game last year, or at some point over the summer last year. And they brought in, as of right now, again, Friday, January 9th, 10 players for 2026. So you go, Hoover, 25 minus 10 is 15. That's a loss. Well, the math that we're using here today isn't quite that simple, so let's just dive in, pull it apart a little bit. How many players who made important contributions on the playing field last year, how many? Not in the locker room, not were great guys, not in, the practice field or out in the community. How many players did Oklahoma lose from the 2025 season? Okay. Now I'm going to grade this pretty tough here, and I'm going to count 8. I'm going to count Kobe McKenzie, Devon Jordan, Michael Hawkins, Gentry Williams, Logan Howland, Giovanni Gibson, Sammy Omasigo, and Jaden Hardy. Like I said, I think I'm grading kind of hard, but maybe you could talk me into guys like Marcus Strong and Caden Helms, and you could probably talk me out of Mike Hawkins at some point. So give or take 8 or 9 guys, right? Well, you're adding 10. You're losing some depth pieces, but you're also losing some young guys, right, of those 25, who I think probably might have had a bright future at OU. You're also losing some guys who had been good players previously, but because of injuries, which we all know sucks, but it's just part of the game. Those guys were important pieces last year or in 2023, but they weren't going to be on the board for Oklahoma moving forward. So, numbers-wise, 10 guys coming in, again, so far, right? I don't think OU has done adding players yet, and I think we'll see some new faces announced over the next 7 days. But numbers-wise, it looks like a gain with the 10 guys coming in and 7, 8, 9 guys who were impact players this year. At worst, at absolute worst, it's a push, okay? But now let's break down the guys who are coming in, and you'll see it's not a push. OU's adding 2 tight ends, Hayden Hansen out of Florida and Rocky Beers from Colorado State. Those 2 guys those 2 guys alone were way more productive statistically than anyone the Sooners brought into the position last year. Last year they added tight ends from Pitt State, Louisiana State, and Kennesaw State. And none of those guys put up big numbers at those schools. And when they get to Oklahoma, they barely get on the field. So big gain there, if you ask me. Huge gain. And those guys will now be coached by Jason Witten, which has been, by the way, on social media confirmed by Witten, his wife, as well as Jim Nagy. Anyway, we roll on. Offensive line. Portal guys last year were Luke Buklenko and Jake Mikula. Buklenko got some time early, as Bill Badenbow, as he always does, was kind of dealing with some more injuries, and he had to shuffle some things around. So Buklenko gets on the field, but then Buklenko gets hurt. Now he's in the portal again. So, and then Mikula, he comes in, takes over for Troy Everett in week 2, and was actually a pretty nice upgrade at center. So that works. He's coming back. Caleb Nitta this year, portal guy from Western Kentucky. He's going to be a depth piece, I would assume, at center behind Mikula. He's also a guy that can maybe rotate, swing out to guard a little bit. So he's a depth piece. He's going to be a valued player at some point down the line. But then OU apparently locked down, its right tackle for 2026 by landing a 2-year starter from Arkansas, Amarian Harris. He showed some real improvement in 2025 if you look at his overall numbers and his Pro Football Focus numbers. That was from 24 as a starter to 25. We'll see how 2026 plays out, right, as we always do at Oklahoma with all the injuries and Bill Bedenbaugh making the shuffling around who plays where. But again, at absolute worst, this is a push. And if Harris, think about it, if Harris is all that, then this comes out as a pretty nice gain if you ask me. Now, running back. Let's look at running back. Running back is weird. It's just weird. The Sooners lost some running backs this year from this year's team who, frankly, sorry, there's no other way to put it. They either gave up on the program or they were given up on by DeMarco Murray. That includes the portal bust of all time, Jaden Ott, from last year's post-spring portal window, remember, which is now gone. There's only one window this year. So this year, OU adds Lloyd Avant from Colorado State, who put up kind of modest numbers for the Rams last year, about 400 yards on the ground. But he was also pretty good in the passing game, had some big catches. I think he had a 100-yard receiving game, as well as he was a good kickoff return man, which kind of a weird thing because OU doesn't return kickoffs anymore. So is there value there? Don't know. But he'll probably be a guy that gets a lot of action in spring ball, and he might get, a lot of practice snaps in preseason. But I don't think he's going to be a guy who takes a lot of snaps from Xavier Robinson or Torrey Blaylock next fall if both those guys stay healthy. If they don't stay healthy, like this year, then Avant's a good guy to have on the roster because he's versatile. Now let's look at wide receiver. This one isn't even close. Last year, OU added guys from Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Southern Illinois, and Cal, and Arkansas. Giovanni Gibson, love it. Put up nice numbers at Pine Bluff, something like 1,200 yards. Looked like he was going to be a good addition, had a great spring, was breaking out, but poor kid breaks his leg in the spring. He played half the season, basically, and now he's already hit the portal. The only one of those 4 who panned out was the Arkansas guy, right? Isaiah Satania, all SEC, and the guy was a game changer for OU's offense. Now, this year's portal haul so far, there's going to be more, but so far, completely different story, man. Look at Trell Harris from Virginia, a proven big play guy from the ACC. I think third team All-ACC, averaged 19 yards a catch. Then you got Parker Livingstone from Texas. He's a pretty nice big play guy as well. Reliable target, good hands. Played in the SEC for the Longhorns. Those 2 guys alone combined for almost 90 catches last year, more than 1,300 yards, and 11 touchdowns. And we're talking ACC and SEC level football here. And, hey, with Livingstone, you get to take away one of Texas's weapons, which is always good. But before we move on, I'll tell you what, while we're on wide receivers, it's pretty clear that Brent Venables and Jim Nagy want at least one more. And one name to watch is Davian Dozier from Appalachian State. He's a guy, 6'3", 6'4", 190 pounds. He averaged almost 22 and a half yards a catch last year, which would have ranked 4th nationally, but he didn't qualify because he had just 20 catches. So he went to App State last year, but before he went to App State, he was looking at potentially being a starter at Arkansas as a redshirt freshman before he broke his wrist, in spring practice. Dozier was among a handful of portal guys at OU this past week, who took their official visits. And, there's some former Razorbacks on the roster. he might be leaning toward OU. I'm just saying. So if you look at the ones who have committed to Oklahoma so far, that's 7 new guys on offense, and 5 of those guys look like immediate impact dudes and probable starters. That's a heck of a batting average, and that batting average includes a couple of home runs in there. So let's move on to the defense real quick. You only have 3 guys to talk about so far as of today. So let's talk about the 3 starting, or the 3 defensive guys. You pick up a starting linebacker potentially from Michigan in Cole Sullivan. That's got to be a good thing, right? He had 3 tackles, a sack, and a fumble recovery against the Sooners in Norman this season. So if you look back at his numbers, he played in 11 games for the Wolverines in 2025. Only started the last 2 games against Maryland and Ohio State. But he finished the year with 48 tackles, 5 TFLs, 4 passes defense, 2 sacks, and he led the team with 3 picks. So if Owen Heineke is unable to return, thanks to the NCAA, then Sullivan is probably going to be an immediate starter, especially when you look at the rotation last year. Kobe McKenzie and Sammy Omosigho portaled out. So, yeah, he would be a guy that steps in immediately. Now, at cornerback, Dakota Fields, he was not a starter at Oregon, but he wouldn't be a starter at Oklahoma either. Why? Because Cortland Guillory and Eli Bowen had a good year in 2025. Bowen also had a good year in 2024. Those guys have those 2 jobs locked up, but Dakota Fields is going to be he's going to be a contender for some nickel snaps. He's going to be an excellent backup at those corner positions. He's long, 6'2", super athletic, and if he sticks around, he can become a starter in the future. I think he played 3 games, just 3 games for the Ducks this year, so he'll be fresh when he gets to Norman. And then on the defensive line, Kenny Ozuwalu from UT San Antonio. He's going to be able to replace some of the depth and the frontline snaps that the team lost from R. Mason Thomas and Marvin Jones' graduation. He's going to compete immediately with some of those rotational guys from last season, if you think about it. The guy's 6'4", 270 pounds. Pro Football Focus had him graded at a 76 overall on defense and a 75 as a pass rusher. Those numbers are really good. All of that is to simply say that, wow, Jim Nagy and his staff are just absolutely killing it in the transfer portal this year. And remember, this year there's only 1 portal window. So whoever they get over the next 7 days, that'll be it. Unless, of course, there's a head coach that leaves somewhere. That if that happens, then those players on that team kind of have their own little portal window. And if it doesn't get, if OU doesn't get who they want, okay, before January 16th, I would presume that when and if there's a head coach opening, Oklahoma is certainly going to be active going after those late portal guys if another name that they need comes available. Okay, that's it for today. Appreciate you guys watching as always. I would encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Don't forget to click on that little bell, get those notifications whenever I post new content, and of course, please hit that like button. That helps get our content out there for other Sooner fans like yourselves. You can always share our videos on your own social media channel, man. That's a big help. So, and don't forget to head over to the website. That's OklahomaSoonersOnSI.com for all the latest news. We got a portal. We got a profile on every player in and out of the transfer portal so far, plus all the rest of the OU news and notes, headlines. So much going on, as you guys know, man. This beat, it just keeps you busy 24/7. So bookmark that page, or even easier, just sign up for our newsletter. When you get there, the headlines just kind of magically appear in your inbox. It's awesome. There's also a new exclusive content over on my Facebook page, John E. Hoover Media. So if you're on Facebook, go over there and become a subscriber. Or if you're on the Twitter, you can just follow me there at John E. Hoover. All right, that's what's up with OU football. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next time.